Breaking news, a major blow to Trump's crackdown on American cities. A judge just blocking Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Chicago for at least 2 weeks, warning that it will only, quote, add fuel to the fire. The judge also calling the use of chemical agents against protesters, quote, arbitrary and indiscriminate. And in just a moment, I'm going to be speaking with the Chicago pastor who was shot in the head with pepper balls while praying in front of that ICE facility outside Chicago. We told you about him last night. Today, he was granted a restraining order by a judge against the federal government over its use of force against protesters. And he is joining us for his first television interview since the incident in just a moment. But first, I want to go to Omar Jimenez. He's live outside that ICE facility near Chicago, the center of all of this. And Omar, this is a major ruling coming right now.
It's a major ruling and a major moment that a lot of people had been waiting on here. The judge granting this temporary restraining order blocking President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops in Illinois on the same day that we got our first glimpses of Texas National Guard troops just behind me here in Broadview outside Chicago. Now, I want to take you through a little bit of what the judge considered here as part of her oral ruling, which she described as a high-level summary today. One of the things she talked about was describing what rebellion was. She described it as deliberate, organized resistance openly opposing the government as a whole. And she said, I have seen no credible evidence that there has been rebellion in the state of Illinois. And that's critical because, again, the government had been arguing that the protests that we have seen threatened this state of rebellion. She also talked about the protests that we've seen here, that there were at one point 200 protesters, but 100 state and local law enforcement were on scene and were able to maintain control. Ultimately, it seems, she said this came down to the court having to make a, quote, credibility determination, and she called the assessments made by DHS as unreliable. As you can imagine, Governor J.B. Pritzker very happy with this decision, saying Donald Trump is not a king and his administration is not of the law. He had been pushing in that regard for a while and, of course, helped lead this lawsuit that began this court process. And I just got reaction in from Mayor Brandon Johnson of the city of Chicago. It said Judge Perry echoed many of the points we have made repeatedly. Trump's deployment is illegal, unconstitutional, dangerous, and unnecessary. We will see what appeal efforts may come up as well, but obviously a very big moment and day here in the Chicago area today, Aaron.
Absolutely. And Omar, thank you very much. Outside that facility, just outside Chicago in Broadview, Illinois, that's been at the center of this. And I want to go now, as promised, to Reverend David Black. He was also at that facility. He's the minister of the First Presbyterian Church of Chicago. And I know, Pastor, this is your first television interview since the moment that we're showing here where you were shot 7 times with pepper balls by ICE agents while praying outside that Broadview ICE facility where Omar is standing tonight. And Reverend, I really appreciate your being willing to speak with us about this because we had shown people this video last night. I know you sued the Trump administration after this happened, and today a federal judge granted you a victory, ordering federal agents from, quote, using riot control weapons against protesters, religious practitioners, and journalists unless they have probable cause of a crime. Obviously a significant victory. Reverend, what's your reaction to that?
Well, it's a victory that belongs to everyone who lives in the United States of America, and particularly to the brave protesters and demonstrators who've been showing up. And I am so grateful for the work of the ACLU and Lovi and Lovi, who argued this case so well and brought it to this conclusion.
So we were showing, right, those agents on the top of the roof, right, you were shot by pepper balls. You were obviously, brought down to the ground, and a top Department of Homeland Security official is defending what they did to you. And what they're saying, Reverend, is, quote, what this clip video doesn't show is that these agitators were blocking an ICE vehicle from leaving the federal facility, impeding operations. Over and over again, law enforcement ordered these agitators to move off of federal property so the vehicle could move. Law enforcement verbally warned these agitators that they would use force if they did not move and stop impeding operations. They did not comply. She then accused you of giving ICE agents the middle finger. I wanted to read all of that so that you would have a chance to respond to it.
Thank you, Aaron. It's categorically false. There were no ICE vehicles attempting to leave the facility, and I was standing to the side in a gesture of prayer and praying verbally for the ICE officers and those detained inside. I find it interesting that this individual believes I flipped them the bird because theologically, as I've been praying for all of these people, I have been hoping that the Holy Spirit will descend upon them and convert their hearts and minds. And to the extent that the Holy Spirit appears as a bird, perhaps there is spiritual truth to her claim.
Which I understand what you're saying. Okay, so you're saying that what they are alleging there is not true. I want to show another moment, Reverend, where a large group of ICE agents are walking towards you. So here they are. They're walking towards you. They're shoving you. I just want everyone to get a chance, and now they can see you. They know who you are there. You're obviously you've got your clerical collar on. They are spraying what appears to be pepper spray at that time directly into your face. This, I've been, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe is after you had been hit with the pepper balls in the head. Do you know why they did this to you?
No, there was no warning for any of these things. After they shot me in my head and my face and multiple times in my torso, arms, and legs, I was shielded by the bodies of others who were there, who rushed in to support me and took many more hits that were intended for me. I was then guided away to a place where street medics helped to wash out my eyes and try to keep me safe, but I was completely disabled at that point. And within 2 minutes, quite a number of ICE officers, maybe 15, maybe 20, rushed out of the gate and began to shove us down. And I was already disabled on the ground, but attempted to get away. And they continued to shove us in a kettling maneuver towards a place where we would not be able to escape as they brandished their weapons. And you can see in that video, ICE officers shoving protesters who were standing and speaking and chanting and singing peacefully and praying peacefully, shoving us down and then dispensing a huge amount of chemical weapons onto us. I was drenched from the crown of my head to the socks in my shoes. It was indiscriminate and it was vicious.
I know you said that they were laughing. There were some of the agents laughing after this happened. Can you tell me more about that, what they did, and at that moment, what you thought?
Yeah, we could hear them laughing as they were shooting us from the roof, and it was deeply disturbing. We've gotten to witness a few things about these ICE agents operating in Broadview, and really what it has shown us is how disorganized they are and how poorly supervised and trained they are. We've also heard ICE agents talking to each other, one of whom said, man, I don't even remember why I'm here anymore. And the other said, I don't know either. So there's a deep demoralization that we are seeing as we're bringing this peaceful and spiritual protest against their tactics and what they are doing to our city and our communities and our neighbors. And I'm grateful to show up with these protesters, people who deeply believe in democracy and are bringing peaceful and moral witness against what the Trump administration is trying to do in Chicago.
Reverend Black, I'm grateful for your time and thank you very much for being willing to come on and share the story.